This is week 3 of what I've automated with AutoHotkey this week. And so I'm going to start off, all of my stuff is kind of related this week, mostly, I guess, around email and different ways I could have gone about cleaning up email addresses, getting email addresses, and then sending email addresses. Anyway, so let me go ahead and get started here. So first one was, so I do some stuff with real estate, and my partner said, hey, here's a link, here's a web page that has a lot of email addresses of people saying they're interested in wholesaling, which is, we're trying to find a list of them, right? And so he was going to go in and copy each one and then paste it, which would have been pretty painful to have done. So instead I said, hey, let me take a look at it, because there's obviously with AutoHotkey I can do this much better. So let me go ahead and I did it, but let me first fire up the normal tool I use, this IWB2 learner tool, and I looked at it like here and saw at this level, I think this was what I used, the 72, yeah, this class. So I'm going to grab that class and let me come back into Studio. Oh, this is actually my regular expression on email, which is I'm going to mention here in a minute. So let me see now. First, I need to connect to the IE window. So that's PWB : and there we go, : equals that. I've built that into my personal variable list, so I start typing it and it offers it up, and that's a great thing in Studio. It's not even a hot string, right? I can see there. And now I'm going to say, let's throw a message box and pwd.document.getElementByClassName. Put this in here, and I'm going to see, just to make sure, let's see how many that is. So I'm going to launch it and run it, and there were 50, which actually I remember. And I think this might just be an IE thing, I can't remember. But when you scroll down, it actually truncated it at 50. Of course, because Facebook doesn't want to load everything if you're not going to look at it, right? But when you get down here, somewhere, maybe it's weird. Maybe in Chrome it did that. Because somewhere it said 204 comments. There were somewhere, here's 50 of, 103. Okay. View previous comments. Oh, interesting. Now, because this is, so actually it looks like more has been added, so this will be interesting. View previous, maybe I can't view 100. Oh, interesting. So it looks like maybe I have to run this a couple times. 100 of 103. 100 of 100. Well, you know what? That's close enough to me. I don't know why. Wasn't that number just different? Anyway, let's actually, I'm curious. View previous comments. This should be, I guess that would have been the 100 of 103, right? Come on. You gotta love IE, right? No, I don't. I do not even on that. Why are you... 204 comments. All right, I'm so confused. Well, you know what? We'll just start here. Why is it doing this? I'm not doing anything. This is why no one likes to browse with IE, and I don't blame them. No, I didn't click that. So I'm going to hit my hotkey, and it looks like nothing happened. So there's 140. I wish I could go back and play this. I think it said 50. That's right. So there's 140, but let's go ahead. So this is fine for now. So I'm going to turn this into looping over that. Add a comma, and now this will treat this as an expression, so it'll be the count. It'll be that 140 or whatever number it was. And then I'm actually going to borrow this up to here, and I'm going to say message box, that. But now I want to get the first one, so I need to put in my a index -1, just because they're 0 based. And let's just look at the outer HTML. Of the first, so this is the whole outer, and you can see that it has the email address is in a span tag. I'm sorry, I have them down here, which is, I know it's probably very small on your screen, but let me, you know what? Let me, instead of doing a message box, and now if I'm gonna have more than one line, I need to put the brackets in. There. Now this will dump it to this output window, which is a little bit easier to to see, I think, for you guys. So this is that outer HTML. Of course, I get a phone call right when I'm doing this. And so we're going to go ahead and say, you know what we want to get is the, I'm going to try and just say, you know what, I'm going to get the span tag, and it's probably the first span tag. So I'm going to go back and get ElementByTagName span 0. And actually for that, I can just do enter text. Let's see what it gets me. That's interesting. Oh, it's slid over here. So, for the first one, look, it happens to be an email address. And if we go back to look at game plan. Yep. Now, here's what I noticed, though, is we say, okay, we get my message box, so it'll go to the next one. There's my message box. So here's my next one. And then, look, it has a comment. And so I would have to figure out, like, use the mod. I could use to step over every third one or whatever. But again, I don't know actually, which one's email address, which was not, because it might have been the second comment or the third comment or something. So what I did was I just said, if, in string, and I'm going to use this as my haystack. Bump it over a little. If this, that's my haystack, comma, add in the needle, I'm going to look for the @ sign, right? I figured that's the simplest way to say, is this thing probably an email address? Now, I could use that regular expression, which I had in the other one, but for now, I'm just going to say if it has that, then data colon equals, and now we'll go back and get it, right? So this is going to say take that, if it is, take that value, and then I'm going to add a new line to the end. And let's see, now let's move this outside the loop. Oops, that was not what I meant to do. There we go. Now I'm going to save it, reload it, and when it runs, it should dump, hopefully, a lot of them. There we go. So we got 80 that look probably like they are email addresses. And now, so every once in a while there were some different ones, things that weren't email. And this one I just manually copied it and pasted it into Excel, and then it was really easy to spot the ones that weren't. I could have done a much better job, but you know what? This was quick and easy. In less than 5 minutes, I figured out a way to automate it. And next time, if I remember where I saved this, right, I can just go back and point it to the right link post and get the stuff. Now, what I'd probably want to do is to, now that I see this has even more comments, 204 comments. How? See, before it said, what? This is so weird. It said, here we go. All right, so now we have this. I don't see any numbers here saying which ones these are, like these are the first or the last or whatever, because last time we saw it said of 103, and somehow I got to where I thought it said over 200. So let's see, use my screen clipping tool, go back to here, oops, and look at the very last one. Oh, so that is the last one. I just don't know. That was so weird, because I don't see anywhere on here now saying show more, show less, or that. No, 204 comments. But I don't see somewhere where it says like to show more or less. I think this was it. I don't know. That was so weird. But let's get back into site. This regex email address. So this one, let me zoom in here. Here's the haystack. So I'm just building some text. So each one has an email address in the row somewhere. And let me exit out of my other things I'm doing. All right, so now when I run this, it's going to go through and loop over, and it grabs, notice each one of these, it grabbed each email address, parse it out for me. And then I thought in here, how, I don't recall how it's, I guess it automatically puts in a line break, because, oh, there it is. I'm sorry, a new line. There we go. Otherwise, it would have been right next to each other. But I'm using a reg expression to go through and parse. And the difference with the regex match is you have to keep track of where you were in the text. So the first time it goes, and it's coming up in here, and then it finds a reg expression. Oh, it'll start here, get this, and then I think it ends, I forget it was here, you know, like right here. Then you want to start here and not start at the beginning. So you start here, goes, oh, I found another one, and then it'll basically go to here. I think actually it stops there, then you got to add back in the length of it. It's been a while since I wrote this thing. Position plus string length, yeah. So then you got to add in the length of your email address, and then it starts there and keeps going forward. So that's how you can go through and this reg expression, I got it somewhere online and adapted it. It's kind of interesting that there's a really complex one. If you want a true one to find any valid email addresses, it's ridiculously long. This one will do with the vast majority of what it is, so I just use it. But looking, you know, the other thing I could do is just get rid of. So actually, let me demonstrate that here. And actually, where's my Mailgun? That's not. Well, I can close this now. That one doesn't need to be open. I was going to leave this open because I was going to demonstrate how I was going to fake it. It looks like maybe I did close it. That's right. So let me launch it. So, of course, I'm using quick access pop-up to launch stuff. And so I have a program that Maestrieth wrote for me, I should say. Oh, hey. Come on. There we go. I had it on here, so. Anyway, so I wanted to import a bunch of email addresses and then demonstrate just like what I had run into. But here's another hack I just did. Like, oh, you know what? This is something just to demonstrate. So I wanted to create a bunch of fake email addresses. So Joe 1, oh, well, Joe 2 doesn't matter. Joe 3, Joe 4, right? And now I can just come in here with Excel and drag down. It'll keep adding a number to it. And we'll do at the-automator.com. What in the world? Do I guess I need to have a single quote in the beginning, or it thinks it's something? That's interesting. And then I'll just say, okay, this equals A1, and use the ampersand and B1. And now it's concatenated the two for me. And now I have a bunch of email addresses that I can use. And let me actually, let me see here. Let me copy this, and then I'm going to paste it as text, because I don't want it to be a function anymore. I want the actual text. I'm going to delete this, and then I'm going to insert here. I'm going to say first name and email address. And now I'm going to save this file. Save as a tab-delimited file, because that's what my tool needs to import. So I don't know why stupid my documents. I never use that. So I'm going to save it there. Oops, I just saved it as Excel. Save as. It's fine. Now I just got to remember to change it to a tab-delimited file. Interesting enough, the other way I could have done this, here we go, is just to have copied it and pasted it into Cite. Because Cite, when you copy from Excel and paste into something, it uses a tab as the delimiter. Yep, so close that. Now I'm going to import that list. So I can say import list. That RetsRabbitt's the next one I'm going to talk about here. But where's my file? That is weird. Let me see if where'd it go? All right. Apparently I'm taking crazy pills. What in the world? Let me open up. So I'll go back to Excel, and that path should be somewhere in there. That's the reason. That's not my actual path to my desktop. I moved my desktop. Excel somehow. I don't know how it's finding that. That's so weird. Because I put my desktop under Dropbox. Let me see if I come up here and now. That seems like that was what I saw in the other one. So, yeah. I'm going to leave it open this time. And now, here it is. I'm back in Mailgun. Or, it's my Mailgun app. And so, in Message Master, now it just imported all those. And what I wanted to I'm not going to actually demonstrate the script because it's so simple. But what happened was there were some illegal characters in like the email address or in the name, the first name. And when I went to deploy it, I had nearly 2,000 email addresses. Unfortunately, I would say send, and it would say, hey, there's a problem somewhere, and it didn't tell me where. And so what I was like, oh, this sucks because I don't have a way to check like 10. And so I just wrote a small script to say, you know what, when you're on this, hit the space bar, tab. Oh, actually, no, sorry. So space bar and then down arrow. Space bar, down arrow, space bar, down arrow. And just loop over that like 20 times. Actually, I ended up doing, I forget, like 100 times each. And just, it got me really close to where I could finally see the error and fix it. Again, super simple script with AutoHotkey, right? Write a small loop to send a couple keystrokes. And just, I did it in, 2 minutes. But it saved me a lot of work. So, speaking of which, by the way, the other thing I did this week, which isn't automation, but it is topical to AutoHotkey, was I launched a survey asking people who wanted to basically get paid to work with AutoHotkey, and then also who'd be willing to pay. The thing, I don't want to get in the nitty-gritty results, but what I did notice was, generally speaking, there was some good interest. So roughly half were willing to get paid for being a mentor, and 2/3 roughly were willing to get paid for writing code. So not many wanted to do it for free, which is fine. What was interesting was down here when I reflipped it and said, hey, who's interested in actually paying for it? Vast majority were not interested at all at like finding someone, even if it's for free, right? It's interesting is they really want to find, I think the people who are all my connections in LinkedIn that use AutoHotkey they're doers, right? They want to solve the thing themselves. They're not looking for help, which honestly, I would argue, like, look, no matter how good you are, right? If you can find someone that's a little better than you and give you points and tips, man, it can be really helpful. But anyway, that was interesting to me. So I did that. The other thing I did, which is getting back to, let me go ahead and close this, I'm like I said, I'm working in real estate, and I found a tool that has an API access to, it's called RetsRabbitt. And actually, I can show the top part here. Hopefully it won't, here's some of the API calls. So I have a lot of them commented out, but basically I can query it and basically look on the MLS and pull back data about a house, about a property. So these are different API calls I've been testing. This one's just getting me all the information that the API has and different parameters you can set. But I can build queries about homes and pull back data on it. This is the actual API call, right? Which hopefully you've seen our webinar talking about API calls, and I got a bunch of videos on that. But it basically creates a COM object with this WinHTTP object, gets and goes to the endpoint and says, okay, get this. You got to push in your authentication. That was a little tricky part because the documentation wasn't great. But they gave me something in Postman that I could go look at and then basically reverse engineer for AutoHotkey. You had to store your data in the payload as if it was coming from a web form, which was interesting choice. I don't know, but that's fine. It just wasn't documented anywhere. So once I got that figured out, it was fine. And the other one which I've run into is the where is it? Right in here. For some reason, I'm not seeing it in here. The compression. I guess I had it at the top one, but I want to go back up there because I think I have my credentials in there. I don't want to have to worry about it. But the Gzip. Let me bring it over here. I'll look at it real quick. Yeah. So I'll just bring back the screen clipping of that part. So originally I had Gzip, deflate, and Gzip, for whatever reason, maybe someone can explain it to me. With AutoHotkey, when you have Gzip in there, apparently something's not supporting it right. It shows it as some like really crazy Unicode characters, and so if you take that out, then suddenly it looks like normal text. So that one I'm working on, and let's see, I think that's about it. Yeah, that's that one. We had, of course, Christmas, so I was busy doing things like that, and working on. I'm working with Maestria on he's doing the work. I'm just giving him guidance, but doing a Mailgun API for doing drip campaigns, email campaigns. So basically, you can load someone into your database and then say, oh, I want to give them these 7 emails, and I want them spaced out at 3 days apart. And then it's going to keep track of who's getting what creative, when they get deployed. If you miss a day or two, it'll come in and offer you to send, it'll send them all then. So anyway, that one's going to be nice because so many systems charge a ton of money for doing that kind of stuff. It's ridiculous price. And Mailgun is an API you can have access to. It gives you 10,000 emails a month for free, and then after that you pay, and it's still super cheap. So it's not going to have all the bells and whistles, right? It's gonna look at it and say, hey, if somebody clicked a link, if you want to watch for a link and say they clicked it, it might stop them in that campaign, but it's not going to have logic that says if they click this link, go do this. If it does this one, go do that. Which sure would be great, but you know what? I'm just paying to get this thing done, and then we can probably sell it or give access to people who want to use it. But I'll be using it a lot for real estate, even for AutoHotkey stuff, and for webinars, in order to easily send emails, sequential emails, right, to people to follow up. Because follow up, most people, you got to hit them several times for them to really actually look at what you're sending to them. So that's it. Hope you guys are doing great. Have an awesome day. Have a happy New Year. Bye.